Today we're going to talk about something so crucial, so vital to ComicsGate, and that is finding that critical balance between entertaining people and promoting comic book projects. There, it may seem pretty straightforward initially, but there is a lot of nuance involved here, and there is a considerable amount of, dissension between people with different ideas about what the focus of ComicsGate should be and how promotion of books should go down. And really what we have to go on is what works. There are enough projects now under the belt of ComicsGate to know who is succeeding, what is working, and what is just failing miserably. So I want to delve in to these different approaches and what I think can really help creators find that balance and get the most support for their project as they possibly can. What I have running in the background is just kind of a slideshow of very different channels. They run the gamut from large to small. They have different approaches. They focus on different things. Pretty much all of them are very much ComicsGate, very in tune with what is trying to be achieved with CG as a whole, which is perpetually grow a fan base that has an ever increasing buying power. This is vital, is that we keep drawing people in, more and more people in, and increasing that potential, that buying power that is just fundamentally necessary to make this thing a success. So if you have a comic book project and you find yourself in tune with ComicsGate, you're aligned with ComicsGate, how do you go about this? What is the approach? Now, when it comes to ComicsGate and the whole crowdfunding phenomenon in comics in general, this is a very different animal than what has existed previously, where you had devoted fans of Marvel, DC, Image, and on down the line, people who would get their books from comic book shops. They were, it's a monthly kind of dedication and expenditure, and that same monthly dedication exists for crowdfunding comics, but it's a very different animal. When it comes to ComicsGate and crowdfunding, there is an entirely new level added on top of the whole thing, and that is entertaining people outside the context of the comic book itself, of the projects themselves. And this is to a small extent, it's Twitter engagement, it's interaction on social media, but by and large, this added layer exists on YouTube. Okay, it's being able to contribute and entertain people on the YouTube platform. Now, there are, I think, a relatively small number of people, from what I can tell, that feel, it should be 100% comic books all the time. You should just be talking comic book all the time, promoting the comics all the time, and just delving into that 24/7. And that if you're doing anything outside of that, you're somehow doing a disservice to comic books. And that's fine. People, there is nothing wrong with having that mentality of feeling that way. And there are channels out there. Absolutely. There are ComicsGate devoted channels and crowdfunding channels that are completely devoted to comics talk. 100%. You've got, Red Valkyrie is doing really cool work. They're still a relatively small channel, but they're talking to creators several times a week and doing nothing but talking comics. There's crowdfunding comics, which isn't a ComicsGate channel per se, but they do have ComicsGate creators on a regular basis. They're talking comics, but the numbers don't really lie. So if you're looking at, let's just say, crowdfunding comics, and I'm using them as kind of a benchmark because this is a channel that they have over 100 videos, okay, ranging from, pretty high level creators, well-known comic book producers to small independent creators. They're doing shows several times a week. They're doing the work. They are producing a lot of content. But if you look at their views, if you look at the views they're getting, 200, 150, they're never getting above 300 views for these live streams, for these interviews. And that's, in YouTube language, it's small potatoes. They're not getting the engagement that you would want to see. They're not getting the kind of engagement that translates into numbers for, dollars in backing comic book projects. And the same is true with Red Valkyrie. It's a great channel. I really admire and support what they're doing. Again, they bring a creative team on or an individual on and talk comics the entire time. And it's good stuff. And oftentimes it is entertaining, but they're not getting the engagement, they're not getting the views. So it doesn't translate into moving the needle for the creators who come on and give their time to being on these channels. So to the people who are just adamant that it should just be Comics Talk all the time, the numbers don't lie. Look at these numbers. You can't deny that Crowdfunding Comics is doing the legwork. They're doing the shows. They've got over 100 videos. They've been doing this. They're consistent. And it's just not getting that level of engagement, right? That an Ethan Van Sciver channel is getting, a John Malin, a Cecil. It's not happening. So why is that? And, if you look at Cash Grab, Cecil's project, it's a phenomenon. There's no doubt in my mind that when the dust settles, when all is said and done, this is going to be at least a $150,000 campaign with, final pushes and maybe an extension of the campaign for another 30 days. Who knows? It could go into $200,000, $300,000 range. But what has led? How did that culminate? What led to that tremendous success? Cecil, as a YouTube creator, he's been on the platform for years. He's been doing the work. And then you have to look at how many hours a week does Cecil commit? Does he give to being on live streams, to being on channels, to being on EBS's channel, to doing the Jack Show? He's recently been appearing on the High Council, World Class Bullshitter. He consistently, on a weekly basis, is providing hours of entertainment for people. He makes people laugh. He's been doing it for years. This isn't some flash in the pan. He has earned this by every stretch of the imagination. He has more than earned the success that he is experiencing. And I feel like creators come into ComicsGate a little bit naive, a little bit maybe with the sense that if they just present a quality project, something with they have a solid concept, they have great art, they even have maybe a already proven that they can deliver a book, that they just have this assumption that there's going to be this tremendous success, this tremendous outpouring of support. But again, this ComicsGate and the new crowdfunding paradigm for comics, this is a new animal. This isn't your typical market. This is a new thing. And this added layer of YouTube, of being something of an entertainer, of having to put yourself out there in this kind of new and unique way to engage the audience, to contribute to this network. I cannot stress enough the value of just the consistency, okay? Someone I really want to bring up is Clint Stoker, Sweetcast. He is the writer and creator of the Downcast comic book series, currently funding issue 2 of that series. He's kind of the benchmark for he put his mind to building a YouTube presence, putting out almost daily content on his YouTube channel, consistency, and then appearing on other shows, putting himself out there on a regular basis, contributing, promoting other people's work, doing a wide range of things. He's entertaining. He's not just talking about his project all the time. He's putting out content that engages people about comic books, pop culture, film, entertainment, anything that inspires him or he finds interesting. He's going to cover it on his channel. He's going to put it in front of people. And this is key, but it's the long-term commitment and consistency of him being there, putting out content, putting his face in front of people, right? And it's not, we all know, Clint isn't, the benchmark for being the most entertaining individual. You don't have to be. That isn't the point. You don't have to be a funny man. You don't have to just have this overwhelming charisma. You just have to open yourself up a little bit. Show a little bit of your personality. Consistently produce content. And it can't always be about promoting your comic book. This is, I think, if I want to get anything across in this video, it's that you have to find a balance. Even if you're, let's go to a totally different medium. If you're talking about like a print magazine, okay, and I'm a graphic designer, I work in print publication, and there is kind of a standard ratio, right? Editorial content, engaging, produced quality content in ratio to the advertising. It's 60-40, 50-50. You never want to have more advertising than you do content because people start getting annoyed. And this is doubly true when it comes to ComicsGate and crowdfunding, okay? It's an even more extreme ratio. I would say you need to be entertaining people 70% of the time and promoting 30% of the time, okay? You have to find your passion, find a thing you want to talk about, find a thing you want to engage, something that is of interest to you, that you can give yourself to day in, day out. Find your niche. Find something that you can engage people on, entertain them. I know it seems a little bit counterintuitive, but the more you entertain and the less you promote your comic book, the better it will work, because the people, we do appreciate it. I'm a backer of a lot of projects, and we notice, we pay attention. When you're appearing on a lot of live streams and you're contributing and you're promoting other books and you're doing all these different things, you're contributing in a general sense to ComicsGate, and you're entertaining, and you're not just there to plug something all the time. You're there to give something of value to the audience, to engage them, to, you have to be a part of that. And then when that moment is right, when the time comes and you do promote your book, you're going to find people are much more willing. They're much more open to opening up their wallets and smacking down their cash. And, I know there's this kind of, well, it should just be about the quality of the comic book. It should be about the comic book. If I do this great thing, if I create a great product, that should be enough. And sometimes it can be. Sometimes that could be enough of a spark, and you could hit it right, and everybody falls in love with the work, and you get the support. But I've got to tell you, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen very often. That's a rare. In this new landscape, that's going to be a rare occasion. It's going to take you doing the legwork, build your YouTube channel, contribute to other channels, make appearances on a regular basis, entertain people as often as you can. Find a way to do it. Find some way to entertain people outside of the context of promoting your comic book. It's essential. And if you can do that, you will find success with your project. Even for projects that don't have the best art, that don't present as well as some of the top tier stuff that's coming from more professional creators, even if you're someone who's new to creating comics and it's not the best art, it doesn't matter. If you can find a way into the audience's hearts, if you can entertain them and engage them, you will win them over. Just be consistent, be there, be present, put yourself out there as often and as many places as you can. Find a way to become a regular on shows, even if it's on the smaller channels. Work your way up the ladder. Put the time in. Cecil did this for years. He earned his place. He earned the right to earn what he's earning on Cash Grab. He's entertained us for hundreds of hours, and you can't discount that. So I think that's the bulk of what I want to get across. This is a new animal, folks. It's not just about the comic book anymore. You've got to do more. You've got to entertain. You've got to put yourself out there, and you will be rewarded for it if you do it. That's all I have to say. If you like the vid, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.